Good morning, everyone, and of course, good morning to our professor, Ma'am Alfie Banawas. So today, we are going to discuss to you the first topic in English language studies, which tackles more on the nature, the scope, and the significance of the field in English language teaching. And also, we will be tackling later some key theoretical perspective or point of views coming from well-known authors and linguists. So, I am Rona Ferrer, and together with my group members, Miss ACLAO and Miss POSO. So, let's begin our discussion and defining what is the English language studies. So, when we say ELS or the English language studies, it combines with the study of literature, creative writing, and allied subdisciplinary areas, which tackles on the different branches of linguistics, which is the phonology, the morphology, syntax, pragmatics, and also the applied linguistics such as the psycholinguistics, sociolinguistics, and other branches of English language that deals on the society rather than just the language itself. Now let's define the definition of language. So, as English language major, we are often asked, what is language? What is the common definition? What is the common feature? And what is the characteristic of an English language? So, uh, language, it is basically defined as the system of human communication using arbitrary signs such as voice sounds, hand gestures, or written symbols in combination according to established principles and rules. And also, such a system used by nation, people, or distinct community and social group. So, and in simpler terms, when we say language, it is a primary tool when it comes to communication, when it comes to interaction and socialization. It can be a form of hand gestures. It can be a non-verbal or verbal. It can be spoken or non-spoken. So that is the basic notion or the basic definition of a language. Next is the branches of linguistics. Actually, this is just a quick recap since we already encountered these subjects in our previous courses. So, the first one, we have the phonology. When we say phonology, this is how we produce words, how we pronounce accurately, because this is the study of sound system. Next is what we call the morphology. When we say morphology, this is the study of creation, the structures, and the formation of words from smaller units and into larger units of words. Next is we have also the syntax. This is the study of structural units larger than one word. For example, fragments into phrases, phrases into sentences, and sentences into paragraphs. This is where we organize and structure, labeled the components of the sentences to make a meaningful paragraphs or a meaningful sentences. Next is also the semantics. This branch of linguistics deals with the study in the word meaning itself or the meaning of the language. Next is the pragmatics. This is the study of language within the contextual aspect or within the society. So when we say pragmatics, this is how a particular person use a language based from his or her contextual background. Another key component of English language studies is the grammar. The grammar of language comprises a set of science its sounds, words, and the principles and rules for combining these into a meaningful utterances. So, there are two types of grammar: the prescriptive grammar and the descriptive grammar. When we say prescriptive grammar, it comprises a set of prescriptions about how to speak. It means there are rules, there are standard of language that people should um, follow in order to produce a grammatical uh, sentences or utterances. The next one is the descriptive grammar. So, building descriptive grammar, linguists do not judge linguistic utterances to be correct or incorrect, to be acceptable or unacceptable. Rather, they are just focusing on the production of words or the production of your sentences, because the focus is the function of utterances rather than the rules, or rather than the following the standard uh, set of prescriptions. So the main difference between the prescriptive grammar and the descriptive grammar is that prescriptive mainly focuses on the prescriptions or the prescribed rules or the standardized rules rather than just producing words. And when it comes to descriptive grammar, the focus is the production of words, the function of the utterances, rather than focusing on the existing rules.
Now let's move on to the nature and the key features of the English language. The first one is the arbitrariness. So, language is arbitrary because there is no reason or evidence behind it. It means that there is no logical and inherent connection between the word and its meaning. Like, say for example, the word dog has no really connection with its meaning or with its physical appearance of the dog. So that is why when we say language is arbitrary, because there is no such really connection between the word and the meaning, as simple as that. Next is the discreteness and compositionality of a language. So, discreteness has to do with the fact that speakers of all languages can identify distinct elements in their languages, such as the different words in a sentence and the particular sound in a word. On the other hand, compositionality refers to our perception that larger units of language are composed of smaller units. Combining these two terms together, we can say that speakers perceive a language as being composed or discrete unit which stand in a part-whole relationship to one another. The third one is the creativity. It is said that language is creative, which means that creativity in language manifests in two ways. First, language itself is creative in that it enables the expression of new meanings as when they are needed. Like, say for example, through the creation of new words, like say for example uh, if we combine the word uh, if we combined or if we mix the word lunch and breakfast, we can form a new word which is called brunch. And there are so many more in Philippine English, like say for example the sari sari store. And there are a lot of creative words that each native speakers or non-native speaker of English has formed based from their localities. So, second, language is an organic entity which changes, grows, and dies just like human beings that use it. This intrinsic creativity is one of the factors underlying the phenomenon of language variation. The fourth nature is the language is role governed, which means that language operates in a systematic process from sound to formation of words and to the syntactic level, the grammar, and to the word meaning. So these rules govern to form meaningful sentences or meaningful utterances. So all languages have rules that enable them to convey meaning. It is the rule-governed nature of language that makes language use a creative enterprise. The fifth one is language is artificial, which means that language is created or generated by people according to their needs. Every symbol is attached or adhered, appended to appropriate thought thing called the referent. Like say for example, like the word AIDS, nice, idiot, or and so many more. Language is open to adjustment. That is the basic notion of the language as being artificial. The sixth nature of English language is its repetitiveness. So, language is repetitive because of the use of specific rhetorical devices such as the anaphora to highlight or emphasize the point. So, language has the magnitude for superfluity or repetition. Repetition may ameliorate or retard deficient communication. Next is the recursiveness of a language. Recursiveness in a language refers to the property where grammatical structures can be embedded with themselves, allowing for a creation of sentences and phrases of potentially infinite complexity and length. The next nature of language is it is restricted. So language is restricted while conceding the ideas and to the language. Some meaning is lost. No symbol or word can transmit the exact reality. It is just a sketch of the apparent conspicuous. It can be also referred to a formal limited vocabulary and grammar set for specific purposes, like the technical jargon or the simplified languages, or it could be also described as a social code. Next is language as medium and a societal tool. Language is a means of communication, which means that effective communication is possible only with the help of language. Language is defined as the combination of words to communicate ideas in a meaningful way. By changing the word order in a sentence, one can alter its meaning, even make it meaningless or meaningful. The last feature of English language is it is symbolic and systematic. Language is a system of symbols. These symbols are governed by agreed upon rules or codes that allow for the organization and generation of meaning, even though the symbols themselves do not directly correspond to the things they represent. So that would be all for my discussion. The next will be Emerus and Miss Poso for the remaining topics. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is ACLAO, and I am the second discussant. Today, I will be talking about scope and significance of English language studies. First, I will talk about the scope of English language studies. English language studies has a very wide scope because it doesn't only focus on learning how to speak or write English. It also explores how the language works, how it changes, and how it connects people and cultures. It covers many areas such as grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. It also includes studying literature, creative writing, and the way language is used in communication. Through these studies, we gain a deeper understanding of English, its structure, its beauty, and its importance in global communication. Now, let's look at some of the major areas included in English language studies. First, literary and cultural studies. This area focuses on reading and analyzing different literary works like novels, poems, short stories, and plays. It also looks at how literature reflects our culture, traditions, and social values. For example, by reading stories from different countries, we can understand how people think, live, and express their emotions. Literature connects us to different times and places and helps us to see the world from various perspectives. Second, creative writing. In creative writing, students learn to express their thoughts and imagination through writing stories, poetry, and essays. These help develop creativity and self-expression. It also teaches us how to use language beautifully and effectively to share ideas and emotions. Third, rhetoric and composition. This part of English studies focuses on effective communication. It teaches us how to write and speak in a way that is clear and persuasive. We learn how to organize our ideas, build strong arguments, and write with purpose. These skills are very useful, not only in academics, but also in our daily lives and careers. Fourth, language structure and communication skills. This focuses on learning the grammar, sentence structure, and style of English. It helps us use the language correctly and confidently. Good communication skills are very important today, especially when dealing with people from different backgrounds. And last is education. This area is about teaching and learning English. It trains future teachers and educators on how to teach English effectively, whether as a first language or a second language. This is especially important in non-English speaking countries, where English is taught as a subject in schools. Another big part of English studies is linguistics, which is the scientific study of language. Linguistics helps us understand how language is structured, how it is learned, and how it changes over time. Here are some of its main branches. Phonetics and phonology. These study the sounds of language and how they are pronounced and organized. Morphology. This is about how words are formed and how they change. Syntax. This studies how words are combined to form sentences. Semantics and pragmatics. These focus on the meaning of words and sentences and how meaning changes depending on context. And here are some of the interdisciplinary areas of linguistics. Number one is social linguistics. This studies how language is used in society. For example, how people speak differently depending on their age, gender, or social background. Number two, psycholinguistics. This explores how our brain processes and understands language. It also looks at how we learn our first and second languages. Number 3, discourse analysis. This studies how sentences connect to form meaningful conversations or written texts. 4, language acquisition. Language acquisition focuses on how people learn language, both children learning their first language and adults learning a second language. 5th, historical linguistics. This studies how languages change over time and how different languages are related. Through linguistics, we can better understand the science behind communication and the reasons why people speak differently across places and generations. Now, I will discuss about the significance of English language. English is not just a subject, it's a global language. It's spoken by more than 1.5 billion people and is used in almost every country in the world. English has become the international language for communication, education, business, and technology. And according to Shrishti and Walya, there are numerous reasons why English is so important today in our life. First, in international trade, commerce, and finance, English allows people from different countries to communicate easily. It is the common language used in international meetings, conferences, and daily interactions between people of different nationalities. In international business, English is the language of communication. Companies use it to talk with clients and partners around the world. Second, tourism. English helps tourists and locals communicate better. It makes traveling easier and helps people understand and appreciate different cultures. 3. In education or academic world, many schools and universities around the world use English as the medium of instruction. Most research papers, academic books, and journals are also written in English. Number 4. Social status. If a person have a good command over English language, and if he or she has good communication skills, he or she can avail the chance to make his or her life better. Fifth, in the digital age, English dominates the digital world. It's the most used language on social media, websites, and online news. If we understand English, we can access a wider range of information and entertainment. 6. Science and technology. English is the main language used in scientific research and technological innovation. Scientists, engineers, and inventors use English to share their ideas globally. 7. Internet and media. English dominates the digital English dominates the digital world. It's the most used language on social media, websites, and online news. If you understand English, you can access a wider range of information and entertainment. Number 8, employment or career advancement. Knowing English can help you get better jobs. Many companies prefer employees who can speak English because it allows them to work with international clients and partners. Number 9, preservation of cultural heritage. English also helps us share our own culture with others. It becomes a bridge for understanding and respecting different traditions and ways of life. And lastly, cultural enrichment. By learning English, people can gain access to numerous collection of literary masterpieces, films, music, and other forms of creative expression. This leads to understanding of different cultures and perspectives. In conclusion, the scope of English language studies is very broad. It's not only about learning how to speak or write in English. It's about understanding how language works, how it influences society, and how it connects people globally. Through studying English, we improve our communication skills, expand our knowledge, and open more opportunities for our future. And most importantly, English helps us appreciate our own culture while also understanding others. So, learning English is not just an academic requirement, it's a key to connecting with the world. And that's all for my part. Thank you everyone for listening.
Hello everyone, good morning. I am POSO ALTHEA, and now I'll be discussing the key theoretical perspective in English language studies. And I found this theories in a book of Routledge titled Introducing English Language. So in the book, there are three theoretical perspectives. We have the structuralism, generativism, and functionalism. But first, I'll be discussing the structuralism. So historically speaking, in 20th century, linguists began to be interested not so much in the academic development, but in more synchronic pattern. So the focus shifted. It shifted the emphasis of the study because before they have rhetoric and philology. So when we say rhetoric, it is learning the art of speaking and persuading, and how the power of language convey your ideas and persuade others, and how the language motivates an action and make a possible changes in the future. So while philology language study, it has a strong focus on the historical development of languages, and especially the etymology of words, when sound changes rules in pronunciation. So yun na nga, they become interested more in synchronic pattern. So it shifted. And now we have the structuralism. So in structuralism, there is a system when it comes to language. There is a pattern and a structure of element, such as the grammar, sentence pattern. So there are rules when it comes to the language. So there is an idea that all of the parts of the language or the English language must work together to make meaning. So from the smallest unit, from words to sentence, they must coordinate to convey meaning. That is why it is called structuralism, from the word structure. And it says that the origin of this theory is actually Ferdinand de Saussure. So structuralism is actually about the structure of the language, that they must coordinate, they must work together in order to create and convey meaning. So that is about the structuralism. And then next we have the generativism. So generativism is actually, it is just a continuation of structuralism to discern the systematic pattern and structure of language. But it is only, generativism is only interested in speakers' underlying competence rather than its performance. So what is competence? Competence is the internal knowledge, internal language knowledge. It is in how you conform to the language rule, while performance is the practical application of that knowledge. It is the fluency. So most of the time they disregarded the language rule rather than you focus on the production of the language that is about the performance. So competence is about your underlying knowledge about the language, while performance is the production. So it is more on fluency.
But in generativism, it is more in competence rather than performance. So it is more focused in the structure again. So in generativism, we have actually Noam Chomsky as the proponent. So when we have Noam Chomsky, meaning there is an innatism. So in generativism, it is believed that language is innate and pre-wired in human brain. That children are born with a faculty to acquire language. So there is this universal grammar, diba? So like all the languages has the noun, has the verb, has modifier. We have the object, the subject. And in this theory, it is believed that we all can learn those rules. That we are born with the capacity to learn language. So generativism is more focused in the structure, and it is believed that human brain can generate those structure, those rules, and that it is predetermined. So that is about generativism, that our brain can generate those rules, and that we are born with the capacity to learn those rules, to learn the structure of the language. But same with the structuralism, generativism is also focus on the structure. Kasi it's like a continuation study of the structuralism. And then for the last one, we have the functionalist. Functionalist, it is not the same with the generativism and structuralism. Generate Functionalist is actually focus, not focus in the structure, not in the grammar, syntax, or semantics, but rather than the actual use of the language. So this talks about the purpose of the language, more likely, and the context. So it is about language and its context. And we have the most famous functional model of language, which is the systemic functional grammar. Systemic functional grammar is actually developed by Halliday. And this one, it aims to theoretizing what language does rather than what it is. So SFG has proven useful in discourse analysis and the exploration of sociological and political context of language use, because this model it actually explores the relationship between language and the context, and it is used for analyzing language in various contexts. So in functionalist, there is an acknowledgement that some form of linguistic relatively operates through the social practice of language. So when we say functionalist, it is the approach to the language study that's concerned with the functions. Remember the word functions performed by language, primarily in terms of cognition relating information, expression indicating the mood, and then conation exerting influence. So in functionalist, it is emphasizing that language can influence thought, that the structure and the vocabulary of a language can actually shape the human understanding of the world, a person point of view of the world. And then it is also emphasizing that it is context-dependent meaning, that meaning is negotiated through language use in a specific social context, because there is cultural background, right? There are cultural backgrounds, and in some culture, some words are taboos, while in the other country, those words are not taboos. Also, we have the relationship. So if you're close to someone, it is fine to use different kind of tone. But in some people, they might perceive that specific tone as something as rude. So that is why it is context dependent, because language meaning is shaped by culture, relationship, and social. So functionalist says that language is a tool or means for communication, and that it serves a certain function or purpose. So Like a key terms to remember functionalist, just remember the word functions. So, how a language functions. And in generativism, it generates. Our human brain generates the, the structure of the language, that it is predetermined that we have this ability to generate the language rules. And then structuralism is that it is all about the structure of the language. That there is a so-called structure that we needs to follow, and there is like a system, and all structure of the language must coordinate in order for us to create or convey meaning. So that is all about my report. Again, the three theoretical perspectives are structuralism, generativism, and functionalism. Thank you.